name is Mia. In this video, I will be doing the second part of this magazine. If you missed the first part, it is on my channel. I'm gonna start where I left off in the first part, and we are on page 11. It's a magazine from 2007 that shows vintage pictures that people send in. So on this page, we talked about this picture on the last video. Now we're gonna do this one. How do you start this thing? The tag at the wheel of a toy fire engine above is the son of Gene Lintner, now of Warrington, Pennsylvania. The picture was taken in 1944 in Willow Grove, and Donald is now in his early 60s and thinking of retiring. Writes Gene, I am 85 and a great-great-grandmother of 4 times over. The last time it happened, the 5 generations included all females, something I've read that is very, very rare. And then beach blanket baby, and that is this picture up here. That's me with my children, 3-month-old Susan and 1.5-year-old John. Opposite page top. At the Mentor Headlands Beach, now in Ohio State Park, in 1954, says Anne Russell DeMuth of Fairport Harbor. My whole family spent countless happy hours at the beach, beginning back in 1930, when I was only 5 years old. Snap and sniff. Right here. This cutie at left, pulling the flower for a better sniff of the fragrance in this 1939 photo, is Sandra Lee Braddock, the daughter of Carol Sizemore of Lowell, Arkansas. Sandra Lee, almost 2, was enjoying the flower garden at her great-grandmother's home in Omaha, Nebraska. Can we get out of this chicken outfit? Roxy Gump at right looked to be on a chicken patrol in 1965. Roxy, whose last name is now Cooley, was walking among the chickens with her grandparents' dog Duke on their farm located inside Adams County, Pennsylvania. Points out Roxy's mother, Joan Gump, now lives in Aspers. On this side of the page, we have a little quote, and it says, a thought to remember, anger is the only thing to put off until tomorrow. On this page, we have riding a flying comet. Boy felt all grown up until faced with Lincoln Park's Colossus. 1950. No more Kittyland for me, Ma. I'm 8 years old now. It was the summer of 1950, and we were headed for the amusement rides and other joys of Lincoln Park in North Dartmouth, Massachusetts. As we topped to the hill at Route 6 and Reed Road, Ma laughed and said, all right, no more Kittyland for you this year. My excitement was building. I could see the round windows of the ballroom, and all of a sudden, there it was, the biggest Ferris wheel in the world. I hoped it wouldn't take my father an hour to park the car. Finally, we were out. My sister and her friend went their own way, and Dad gave us money for tickets and headed for the pavilion for some clam cakes and beer. Ma said I could go on the pony ride first, but we were standing in the line for the horse ride. Ma told me not to worry, that I was 8 now, and I could handle it. I thought, well, I guess if Cisco and Hoppy could ride a horse, so could I. Until I was lifted onto the saddle, I didn't realize how big a horse was. I spent the next once, trying not to look scared stiff. When it was over, I thought, good, now I can go on the train ride, one of my favorites. But we were headed straight for, oh no, it couldn't be, the Comet, which was the big roller coaster. I protested that I was only 8, but Ma said, don't worry, you can handle it. My first thought was that my parents didn't want me around anymore, figuring I'd meet my demise on this ride. Then I saw the sign with the cutout body of a boy that read, you must be this tall to go on this ride. Well, I knew I was safe then, but arms from behind picked me up so my feet weren't touching the ground and my head moved above the sign. I could not believe my mother would do this to me. Before I could protest again, Ma had pushed me into the car, pulled down the bar to hold me in, and told me to hold on. I thought of all the mothers in the world, I have to get one who likes roller coasters. When we came to the sign at the crest of the first downhill run, all it said was last chance. Before Ma could grab me, I slid down between the seat and the front of the car, closed my eyes as tight as I could, and prayed. It was like falling off the edge of a cliff straight down between the noise, the speed, and the car shaking. So much I hoped I would never be this scared again. Compared to the first drop, the rest of the ride was much easier. When the ride came to a stop and I tried to get out of the car, Mom pulled me back down and said that until I could sit up straight and look over the first drop, we were going to stay on the coaster. It took me 5 more trips before I could do that. We rode a total of 7 times. The last time because I wanted to. I was no longer afraid of the big roller coaster. My sister and father couldn't believe that I had gone on the Comet, but Ma and I knew better. And when I found out that I was the only one in my class to have ridden Lincoln Park's big coaster, I was sure I wasn't mad at Ma anymore. Ma is gone now, and so are the Lincoln Park amusements, but I'll always remember my first ride on a high-speed Comet. By Jean Barbero, Hampton, Virginia. FYI, after Lincoln Park closed December 3rd, 1987, the majority of the rides were dismantled and sold off, the large Ferris wheel being moved to the new Bedford, Massachusetts waterfront. Most of the Comet remains standing, although part of it collapsed in a 2005 snowstorm. The ride's cars were purchased by Little America Amusement Park in Wisconsin, with the hope that the cars will one day roll again on a copy of the magnificent coaster. On this next page we have any sardines in there. My dad, John Reed, took this charming photo of my sisters around 1940 in New Hampton, New York. They were checking out the icebox to find themselves a treat and something for Smokey the cat, who had 6 toes. That's Mary Ann Ackerman Reed on the left and Dorothy Mary Cusack Reed. Both of them were wearing the old-fashioned trapdoor pajamas that were popular then. It looks like Smokey got a taste of good things to come. Kathy Racher, Patterson, New Jersey. And speaking of things to come, the Reminisce staff and Clancy Struck, and essentially thousands of Reminisce readers, through their contributions of memories, photos, and vintage film, have teamed with the Memory Lane Company to create a groundbreaking DVD set. Each of the 3 DVDs is unique and packed full. It's an unforgettable presentation that brings the Reminisce magazine experience to life on your own television screen through motion, music, pictures, and sound. If you would like Reminisce magazine, you will love Reminisce Through the Decades, the 1940s, Our Stories, Real History. We'll give you the full details in our next issue, August-September, describing each of the incredible DVDs in this set, plus information on how you can order or see a preview on our website. On the next page we have Go-Karts and the Adventures of Avalon Park, 1963. In every South Side Chicago neighborhood of my young years, boys pushed, pulled, carried, or rode contraptions, modified pogo sticks, scooters, and wagons, filled parks and streets, while the high hopes of fathers and sons were tied to color colorful kites, and a finicky summer wind. But that year of 1963, with our imaginations in overdrive, my friends Buzzard and Toboggan and I moved beyond predictable summertime fare. Our adventure began when Buzzard scavenged a lawnmower engine from discards that he found left in an alley. Over the next few days, with some help from my father, our trio determinedly set out to build a go-kart. We searched high and low for parts, shamelessly rambling through the piles that had been left for garbage collection. Neighborhood girls decently called us garbage boys, until we chased them screaming from the alley. "Hey, look what I found. Will this work as the steering wheel?" Toboggan asked. Buster then actually inquired, "Hey, Ricketts, do you think your father will help us mount the engine?" "I'm sure he will," I yelled, walking toward my house. I smiled, picturing my father sorting through his collection of bolts and nuts. Dad came carrying his steel toolbox, his face as serious as a surgeon's. After a few probing questions, he told Buster to hold one side of the go-kart, while Toboggan and I firmly gripped the other. He drilled holes into the wooden board and lifted the engine into position. Using several shiny bolts from his toolbox, he secured the engine to the board. We were all impressed by Dad's skillful use of the tools and tried not to giggle when, with his every move, there came a grunt. After a few adjustments, he stood, declaring the go-kart roadworthy. Beyond question, Toboggan would take the first ride. A natural-born daredevil, he had acquired his nickname by being the first to slide down a large amount of snow on a small piece of cardboard. When I pulled the starter cord, the engine sputtered, choked, and released a puff of black smoke, then died. Pulling a screwdriver from his pocket, my father convincingly announced the throttle needed adjusting. On the second try, the engine started and settled into a steady purr. We straightened the go-kart and gave Toboggan all clear, and off he went. At first, he kept up, but he sped away, leaving us squinting in the sunlight. The sound of the engine faded with his image. Snapping to our senses, Buster and I raced back to the other end of the alley, where Toboggan waited with a nervous smile. My father stayed for a minute, watching and smiling as we took turns riding the go-kart. Other people stopped to watch, including the girls we had chased earlier that day. When daylight slipped away, we reluctantly pushed the go-kart into my backyard. Settling onto my back porch, we drank lemonade and bragged about our new status, the great inventors of Avalon Park. By Anthony Stampert, Aurora, Illinois. Down here we have the dirt track rookies throttle down their dreams. And this picture is labeled Motorheads from left, new track Ron Gillard, Gillian, and Dwayne Johnson pose proudly with their S40 race car. On this page we have Name That Car. Can you guess the make, model, and year of this great old car? According to the owner of the issue's mystery car, Willie Hopkins of Vista, California, only about 18 of these collectibles remain out of the total 60 that were produced. Willie says his car, fondly named Minnie Mouse, seats 4 adults comfortably, has roll-up windows, gets 40 miles per gallon, and cruises at a zippy 40 miles per hour. Here are some more clues that should help you name that car. Hits. This automaker's popular miniature cars were produced during the period between 1930 and 1940 in Butler, Pennsylvania. This model, at around $500, was the most expensive of the car company's mini models, excluding the station wagon. Abandoned for cheap production during World War II, these cars were never received afterward. Just too tiny to ID. Motor over to page 66, and there you'll find the name, model, and year of this issue's mystery car in the margin, where we usually print a thought to remember. Meanwhile, if you have a great old car or pickup truck from the teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, or 60s, and you think fellow readers would enjoy it, trying to identify it, send in some photos. We need sharp color photos or slides of the car taken quarter on so we can see front and side, plus a rear view if possible. Keep the background uncluttered, and if you'd like to pose in the driver's seat, great. First, check the contributor guidelines on page 43, then send the photos or slides along with some information about the car and possibly an anecdote to name that car. Delivery, the mail, and more, whether it was by car, buggy, or horseback, his mail got through, along with the latest local news. Down here we have necessity that at times forced Louis Gibbs to go by buggy, as he did at left in 1924. Pictured above is the Madisonville, Texas post office staff. From center, Louis Carrier, Herman Lynch, Clerk Rosa Gibbs, Clerk Grandma C, and Postmistress Mrs. Ross Manning. On this side we have Porch City. The author and her parents Louis and Carly Gibbs enjoy Madisonville, Texas sunshine in 1925. That's almost 100 years ago. That's insane. Wish I still had it today. Dad knew how to cap off a great day. In 1934, when I was 6 years old, I wanted nothing more in life than to grow up to be just like my father, in spite of being a girl. My dad, who had deep blue eyes and black hair that included a widow's peak, was a small man in physical stature at 5'5", but in my eyes he was gargantuan. I don't ever recall Dad wearing a hat, though I'm sure he had one. Instead, I always saw him in a wool tweed cap with a button on the crown and a small bill. At his neck he wore a bow tie, but nothing compared with that cap. When it wasn't on his head, it was on mine. One bright day, Dad asked if I wanted to walk uptown with him. We had no car in those days, so we walked wherever we had to go in Jamestown, North Dakota. Anytime I could go anywhere with my daddy, I was jubilant. Our first stop was Beck's clothing store, the largest men's and boys store in town. Protruding from the wall were wooden arms with round balls at the ends, each arm holding a cap. Dad led me to the boys section and, pointing at the wall, said, "I'm going to buy you a cap. Pick one out." I was so excited, but there were so many to choose from. I finally picked a gray wool cap with a red tweed pattern. Skipping down the street, I was on top of the world as I held my dad's hand with my new cap on my head. There was nothing that could have given me more pleasure or made me feel more important. The following year, my dad passed away, and my mom had to give up her house. We moved to Montana, where my mother's family resided, and moved many times over the next few years. Somewhere during our nomadic existence, my cap disappeared. Though more than 70 years have passed, the memory of that joyous day when I first wore my cap is fresh, as if it happened yesterday, when a father took his little girl by the hand and made her feel special. Dad's lid above was a real topper for the author, shown at age 7. She and Dad are pictured around the time of the story. "Oh, how I love that cap," says the author. And Mary Lee is down here. Mary Lee Warnock from Moorhead, Minnesota. Time capsule. Take a fond flashback as we look at the people, places, and events that made headlines in 1940. Let's read this popular books page. Aisle here. Popular books. Fiction. The Cardinal by Henry Morton Robinson. Across the River and Into the Trees by Ernest Hemingway. Star Money by Kathleen Winsor. The Parasites by Daphne du Maurier. Jubilee Trail by Gwen Bristow. The Adventurer, Micah Waltari. The Disenchanted by Bud Schulberg. And nonfiction, The Baby, Simon & Schuster editors. Look Younger, Live Longer, Gaylord Hauser. Mr. Jones, Meet the Master, Peter Marshall. Your Dream Home, Hubbard Cobb. The Mature Mind, H.A. Overstreet. Queen, Rainbow Gumball, York Peppermint Patty, and Brenda Starr. And we continue the time capsule. A few prices. Annual wage was $1,315. Plymouth two-door sedan, $739. Man's tweed suit, $25. Emerson tabletop radio, $9.95. Woman's wool dress, $3.98. House paint, $2.69 a gallon. Gold medal flour, 83 cents per 24.5-pound bag. Nail polish, 60 cents a bottle. Bayer aspirin, 59 cents per 100-count bottle. Roast beef, 29 cents a pound. Spam, 25 cents per 12-ounce tin. Pabst cheese, 24 cents for 2 packages. Welch's grape juice, 22 cents a pint. Sugar, 21 cents per 5-pound bag. Gasoline, 18 cents a gallon. Toilet paper, 15 cents a roll. Bananas, 5 cents a pound. First class stamp, 3 cents. Down here we have the story of Fantasia, a symphony of innovation. What began as a Walt Disney venture to save Mickey Mouse's career evolved into the inspired 1940 animated movie Fantasia. Disney, concerned with the declining popularity of his once Mighty Mouse, decided to star Mickey in a cartoon version of The Sorcerer's Apprentice. The fairy tale, interpreted from a poem by Goethe and accompanied by music from French composer Paul Dukas, was to feature Mickey wreaking havoc with the misuse of a sorcerer's powers. Leopold Stokowski, conductor for the Philadelphia Orchestra and an advocate for great music in motion pictures, was chosen to produce the soundtrack. There would be no dialogue. As animation continued, the film broadened to more segments and 8 classical pieces. These were used in harmony with animation depicting such themes as the 4 seasons, nature, heaven and hell, prehistoric times, dancing animals, who can forget the cavorting hippos, light versus darkness, mythology and legend. To enhance the moviegoer's enjoyment of the music, Disney developed a revolutionary sound system called Fantasound. With such innovation, additional music production, and workforce of 1,000 people, the cost to produce Fantasia rose to more than $2 million, 4 times the cost of a live-action film. Fantasia premiered in just 14 theaters willing to install the Fantasound system. The U.S. government then stopped Disney from producing the equipment, claiming that national defense had a higher priority for the technology. RKO Radio Pictures distributors also forced Disney to cut the footage from 125 minutes to 81 minutes. Criticism came from the music purist, who saw the soundtrack as nothing more than abridged versions of the classics, while many moviegoers were not interested in hearing what they saw as high society music. While the film failed initially, it won 2 Oscars for its ingenuity and has been re-released numerous times while reaching its star status of today. My Father, My Heritage. Famous dad taught young Lorenzo to be proud of his legacy. It is Lorenzo Lamas. I borrowed Dad's Rolls Royce one day. My stepmother, Esther, has kept it mint all these years. 37 years old, and the car is in amazing shape. It just purrs. Slowly, I backed down the driveway past the wrought iron gates of Dad's old house and onto Santa Monica's Red Crest Drive. Soon, I was cruising up the Pacific Coast Highway toward Malibu on the way to pick up my daughter for her baseball tryouts. I guess even 8-year-olds try out. It was a perfect Southern California Saturday. Cirrus clouds sweeping the blue sky ahead. As I passed the Getty Museum, I remembered how Dad used to take me swimming across the highway at Rogers Beach. In the ocean, my father swam like a champion he had been in Argentina. He would carry me on his back as he surfed into shore, the water crashing about my young face. At the Malibu house, my eldest child, Alexandra, came running out to meet me. She suddenly stopped and stared at the long, sleek car that stood waiting. I think she wanted to make sure it was me. Daddy, where'd you get that? Whose is it, Daddy? Do you have a new car? Her words were all running together. It's Papa Fernando's, I laughed. Gingerly, she climbed up into the car front seat. Wow, it's big, she said. What's that smell? It's cannoli leather, I explained. It's a fancy car, she noted. Yes, it is, Alexandra, I assured her. The car is a reflection of my father, powerful and graceful, elegant and confident, conspicuous but refined. In that baritone voice of his, I can hear him say, in the Rolls, Lorenzo, you've arrived. A driving lesson. I remembered the days that he'd pick me up from school and how I anticipated running out of the parking lot to find him sitting in the tan and gold silver shadow, reading the newspaper. He'd look up from the paper, see me, and honk the car's distinctive horn. I would get looks of envy from the kids who saw me climb in and speed off. Sometimes other kids would tease me about my name. Back in the 60s in Pacific Palisades, there were no Lorenzos or Fernandos. All of my friends were Bills and Daves, Jeffs and Jays. Where you from? Mexico. Other students jeered. Is your mom a maid? Sometimes I'd get so mad and feel so completely alone I wouldn't talk, even in class, even to my teacher. One afternoon, when my dad came to get me, he saw I had been crying and knew it had been a particularly hard day of teasing. We left the school parking lot and headed down Sunset Boulevard toward the Pacific Ocean. I asked, aren't we going to Bel Air? That's where Dad and my stepmom movie star Esther Williams lived, since he and my mom had divorced. No, amigo, not yet. He reached over and gave me a reassuring pat on the leg. I want to show you something. We drove on for what seemed like forever, probably 30 to or 40 minutes. Finally, we came to a stop, a quiet intersection just above the ocean. The sun's golden afternoon light cascaded over the eucalyptus trees, lining the street on both sides. Come over here, Dad said, getting out of the car and walking across the street. I've brought you here to show you something I never want you to forget. Look up there and tell me what you see. I was staring somewhat blankly. A street sign, I asked quizzically. Exactly, what does the street sign say? He asked, pointing just above the lamppost. It says Lorenzo Place, I noted. That's right, Lorenzo Place, he said, pronouncing the street in syllables. You, my have a very important name. He gestured with his hand toward the houses below and the ocean in the distance as if we were encompassing all of California, a reverse conquistador who had found the promised land. Santa Monica, San Vicente, La Cienega, La Jolla. He called out as if there were an audience below waiting to applaud the names of the streets on which they lived. Remember, amigo, that before there was a Harry and a Chuck, there was a Pedro and a Lorenzo. Wonderful names with a history. A courageous band of settlers built missions up and down the Pacific coast hundreds of years ago. El Camino Real. He let the moment sink in. My dad, Fernando Lamas, was also a part of American history, and I was to be the heir to his story. I sat, hushed at the weight of his words to me. I, Lorenzo Lamas, had a history. It seemed as big as anything I'd ever learned at school. Years later, when my son was born, I proudly named him Alvaro Joshua Lamas. Dad was no longer with us, but I know he smiled from above that high hill above the Pacific. On this page, we have Sweet William to the Rescue by Maxine Harris, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Here we have Short Memories, Bit of Honey, Pioneer Pals. A real doggy treat. Live with John Rooster. The Stranger's Grab Bag. And Birthdays of Freedom. Here we have Betty Boop. What a dog. Betty Boop was a cartoondom's answer to Clara Bow, the provocative it girl of early motion pictures. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, just the first little sentence. On this page we have My First Job, Car Hop Had It Good by Doreen Mangan. Pictures from the past. We got the top picture up there that is from, it doesn't say. Down here, this picture is from 1923. This one is from 1897. No, sorry, from 2010. Her name was Elizabeth Donovan. Up there, that is from 1905. Ruth Bell Miller. And on this side, we got 1928 and 1946. Musical memories. On this side, we have Country Playground. And this is my favorite old-time poem. Bed in Summer. In winter, I get up at night and dress by yellow candlelight. In summer, quite the other way. I have to go to bed by day. I have to go to bed and see the birds still hopping on the tree, or hear the grown-up people's feet still going past me in the street. And does it not seem hard to you when all the sky is clear and blue, and I should like so much to play to have to go to bed by day? By Robert Louis Stevenson. Here we have When Sundays Were Funny. And we have some comics. On this side we have A Living Symbol of Liberty. And this Liberty Bell is made up of men, of humans. Men just standing there making up the bell. And there are 25,000 soldiers doing this picture. On this page, we have Farm Life Was Hard but Fun. Walking the Taters. Here we have some ads. Ads from the old days. We have an ad for an electric shaver from 1958. And we have here some copper tone sunscreen from 1963. We have a, what is that, oil? This is car oil from 1956. And we have some Canada Dry, 1951, and a car here from 1953. On this side, we have some receipts, prices from the past. We have a diner here, and let's see, what year is this from? This is from 1952. And let's see, let's look for something we might have today. Or like a salad, like a steak. A steak is $6.50. And down here it says, easy on the wallet. My grandparents, John and Mary, paid $1.31 property tax bill in 1923. The $1.31 tax was on the residence which housed my grandparents and their 8 children. Since neither of my grandparents could read or write, the spelling of their last name was always left to the discretion of the writer. Here we have Strolling the Shops, and I've kept it all these years. Here we have Can You Give Me a Hand? And these readers found an answer. rhubarb desserts, and summer squash medley. Stirring up memories. Sandwich was unusually healthy in the 20s. My mother used to surprise me with a garden variety sandwich, bread, mayo, radish, salt, and pepper. It was one of my favorite lunches and healthy too. Catalog 1943. So this is what things cost. Like some dresses were $188. A 20-piece set of dishes was $3.29. Some socks were 82 cents for 3 pairs, and fabric was 46 cents per yard. On this side we have good old summertime memories. Marked improvement summers at Ebbets Field, barefoot summers bottoming out. And over here we have a reminisce word puzzle. And on this side, Rose Parade Holiday. And this is for the current day. This was current day in 2007. Over here we have Over the Back Fence and Remedies We'd Rather Forget. I might read some of these in another video. Friday Night Boys Club and Remember the House Out Back. Buccaneers, we have aspiring pirates Randy and Rhonda as shown posing in 1958. Postcard Potpourri. This is so cute. I should worry and get a red nose and you wouldn't love me. Sunday drives were good medicine. On this side we have reminiscent, because these are letters that readers sent in. And this is the back. America Soars, the 4th of July parade in Sharonville, Ohio.